country.
Mm-hmm.
This country reminds me a lot of home,
Mm-hmm.
although there's more grass up there and it's not quite as big and bold as this is, I wouldn't say. But I had an instant connection to this. And then later when we finally met and stuff and come down here, I was just like, this feels like home to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of ironic in a way,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely feel a connection here. And my family's been right here since like 19, like 39 or
Mhm.
40, somewhere right in there. So,
Mm-hmm. Mike and I were talking a little bit about how he's seen sort of a shift in the attitude of the native hunters that he exposed to hound hunting on various reservations. And I think we're sort of talking about how there may have been earlier on a cultural sensitivity to preserving these species. Do you feel that? Do you feel like there's a different approach to environmental concerns and nature on native land versus off of it, or do you feel like at this point it's mostly the same?
no, I think there's a definite attitude of protecting what's here, preserving what's here, wanting it here for the next generation,
Mm-hmm.
and generation to generation. Definitely an attitude of, caring for the land and wanting to be sure that, it goes on. You're not supposed to take more than you need.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to hunt, that's fine, but you really probably should, eat your animal.
Mm-hmm.
And they my tribe, they'll give you they won't give you, but like the elders can get a tag, a hunting tag to get a deer, an elk, different things, but they're not for trophies. They're
Mm-hmm.
they're for meat.
Sustenance.
Yeah, and so that's.
But I do believe some of the younger generation, like I was telling them about when I first started, helping out with the dog programs on some reservations. They didn't have hardly anybody that hunted with dogs or hunted mountain lions and bears. They might have done a little bit of lion hunting in some areas. Now that there are other tribes, so like you said, we talked about the Pueblos and stuff that might have a different culture.
Right.
But I think a lot of what's changed, a lot, especially with the younger generation, because most of these outfitters now that I see that are quite successful on area reservations and stuff are quite a bit younger, and I think they're highly influenced by the media.
Mm-hmm.
We see a lot more hunting and stuff in Facebook and hunting shows and the Carnivore Network and all these sort of things. They get to see a lot more of it. It's a lot more available, and nowadays they have access to the media.
Mm-hmm.
And I think media is a two-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been very, very good and positive in some ways for conservation, but I think also in other ways it's I don't know, it's kind of become a glory show for a lot of people and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm real careful, very careful, I should say, about what I do watch or listen to in the terms of podcasts or YouTubes or things of that nature. And there are certain people that I really align with, and there are others that I don't align with, and that's just me. Someone
Mm-hmm.
else might totally align with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll kind of distance myself from some of those type of people that,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm everybody that's killing everything. What are they dead right there, and you doing the hand pump and the saying and propping them up and doing all this sort of stuff, and I like to reverence a lot of times, and that's one thing I really do like about, well, one of the many things I like about her. But say we go out and we harvest an elk for food, maybe a cow elk. She'll go over and say a prayer for the elk when it's passed, and she'll do a little ceremony with corn pollen and bless the elk and thank the elk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, in the old world and a lot of places, even in Germany and places like that, they used to have ceremonies like that. That it is a show of respect, and I really
Mm-hmm.
I really feel that is a connection, and I think it does bless your hunt too.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the tribal attitude, I think overall the tribe's policies are, take care of nature, be sure. But like he said, there are individuals, and just like with any other group,
Yeah.
you're going to have the ones that are the egomaniacs, and we know who they are. But the tribe as a whole, that's not their
No.
policy. Their policy is,
No, they're very
you know,
protective.
protective
Yeah.
and preserve and that kind of thing. But of course, there are a few of the guys, and then also sometimes, if they're, depending on, yeah. So we see pictures on Facebook and different things, and we really don't approve, but people are gonna do what they're gonna do.
As a whole, I would say that most of what I've seen, most of the native hunters and stuff are very respectful and are pretty good about that, and they want to see it continue, and they want to see their kids come up in it. So I think possibly looking at it from that standpoint, I think you might find a lot more that are just here for the glory, and I'm not talking about just guys that say, well, I'm going to be an outfitter and I'm going to make my living killing lions, and I'm going to make my mark, and I'm going to do this and that, and nobody ever got real famous on lions. I mean, there's a few of them out there. There's not many Warner Glens around, and guys like Dale Lee and stuff. I mean, they're pretty few and far in between. And like Warner, he's gotten to be very famous for more than just lion hunting. He's humanitarian reasons and a lot of different things and stuff. But about the most notoriety you're ever going to get is someone's hearing you on a podcast or buying a dog from you or something like that. But most people are not into it for that. They're just into it to be out by themselves or with their dogs and experience things that a lot of people never get to see.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the great things about this hound hunting in this community is there's no money in it.
Absolutely no money in it.
Warner Glen is a great example of sort of one side of it where I think that, from what I understand, he's pretty rooted in the area he hunts, and he hunts around his home. And if he kills off the lion population there's not going to be as many lions. Some will come in, but he needs to conserve that, and he's had a long career and after his father, and I'm sure it will be passed down in the family.
Yeah, his daughter's a very fabulous lion hunter, Kelly, Kimbrough Glen, and of course she's had some they hunt really hard country. I mean, brutal country.
So similar to people here who are anchored on the reservation and rooted here and sort of, from a selfish perspective, if I live here and I know I'm going to be living here until the end of my life and I want my kids to hunt here, it's then my responsibility to take care of this wildlife. But I think when you get a traveling outfitter who's got very little stake in the game in each place, there's a lot less consequence for them to sort of kill off everything that's there.
Absolutely, and we see them. They do travel a lot, some of them, and book a lot of clients and have a lot of helpers and stuff like that. And they are trying to make a living at it. And some of them are pretty darn successful, pretty good hunters and stuff. But they don't have as much skin in the game. They're moving, and so yeah, that.
You're absolutely right about that, and we've also done tons of improvements on this range that we have. We've done sagebrush control, planted grass. We've put in dirt water
Permanent
tanks.
Water
We've
sources.
put in some different water sources. We've done a lot of things like that to improve.
And that's for wildlife. I mean,
Yes, it's for livestock, but it's also it's for everything that's here. And so we really do work at that.
and we put our trail cameras out and stuff, and I mean, we have we have cattle coming to the tanks. We have elk, we have deer, we have bears, we have mountain lions, we have bobcats, we have
You
fox,
name it, we've got a picture of
coyote,
everything.
skunks. You name it, they come.
And have you guys seen positive feedback? I guess Bobby's been here a long time, and even you, Mike, have been in the area for a very long time. Have you seen sort of the positive repercussions of that care for the land?
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we measure the grass too. We weigh and measure it. And we've been doing it for
And we do it all.
a number of years.
Record it.
We record
And then
what's
that's
out
sent
there, and
into
we know
the
that.
Range Conservation Service, and she's a poster girl for those guys, because I mean, she does great reports.
We definitely have improved the grazing, the water, and that just makes for happy cows and elk and deer and everything else.
Everything.
So yeah,
Everything grows where water flows, and it's an arid, high desert region, but there's ways of enhancing it, and it's a very positive thing. We raise some cattle. We have a few horses that we use, but we we graze a lot more elk. I mean, any one time there could just this assignment here could be 200-300.
Mm-hmm.
And no telling how many deer, because they're pretty sneaky.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot harder to see just how many there are.